The most discussed question these days about Tigray conflict is TDF going to invade Eritrea? This question came under increased discussion after Getachew talked to the Reuters. In his conversation, he said TDF will pursue its enemies even if it had to enter Eritrea or Amhara. After that, we saw that people started discussing that TDF were going to attack Eritrea. So, what is the real situation on ground? Can TDF hit Eritrea in coming days? Are they planning to attack Eritrea? Because this question has three aspects. If we have a look at these three aspects, the question will be answered. Firstly, international community has backed TPLF. Diplomatically, you can say, during the course of this war, we saw that the US imposed visa restrictions and sanctions on Ethiopia and Eritrea. EU withheld security assistance to Ethiopian government. And the US and other members of the international community, they have been putting pressure upon Ethiopian government. They've been calling for the withdrawal of Eritrean forces and Amhara forces from Tigray. The international community has been backing diplomatically TPLF. What does international community want now? Will international community endorse TPLF's attack on Eritrea? 2 days ago, US Senate's Foreign Relations Committee held a hearing in which Robert Godak appeared, Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs. And in that hearing, one US lawmaker spoke about the likelihood of TDF attack on Eritrea. Take a listen to what he said.
Serve as our distinguished witnesses for this hearing on the conflict in Ethiopia. As we all know, the situation in Ethiopia and in the Tigray region in particular is dynamic and appears to be entering a new phase. We are reminded of this stark reality over the last 24 hours when Tigrayan forces overtook the regional capital and the Ethiopian government called for humanitarian ceasefire. Now, I've been cautiously optimistic about this development, and I can only hope it opens the door to a peaceful resolution. However, I am hearing reports that the TPLF is threatening to enter Eritrea, which would be a clear and dangerous escalation in this conflict. I strongly condemn any efforts, I want to be clear, any efforts by the TPLF and any other armed group that would attempt to further escalate violence. We need to de-escalate the violence. We need a ceasefire.
Majority of US lawmakers and other members of international community will not endorse a TDF attack on Eritrea, viewers. Having said that, if US wanted a regime change in Eritrea, current situation would be the ideal one. Eritrean military has been slightly weakened in Tigray war. Anti-Eritrea sentiment in Tigray is running high. By backing TPLF and opposition groups in Eritrea, the US can go for a regime change. So it depends upon US policy about it. Now, second point, viewers, is that people of Tigray are in dire need of humanitarian assistance. Famine has started according to international aid agencies. Crops could not be cultivated. Infrastructure has been destroyed. The wealth, the resources accumulated by the people of Tigray have been looted and destroyed. Hospitals have been destroyed. Who will provide all these things to the people of Tigray now? people are looking towards TPLF. Now, TPLF is the government, not Ethiopian government, though we are hearing news that humanitarian aid is being blocked in Amhara state, in other parts. It is not being allowed to enter Tigray. But people will now look towards TPLF. TPLF-led government will have to deliver in Tigray. They are the government now. Ethiopian government forces have withdrawn. Eritreans have withdrawn largely as well. So now TPLF will have to rebuild Tigray. They'll have to go for rehabilitation. Tens of thousands have been displaced, viewers. In collaboration with the international community, TPLF will have to work for rebuilding and rehabilitation. It's a huge task, viewers. It needs international community's support. It needs your institutions to work, which have been destroyed. So in such a situation, can TPLF invade Eritrea? I leave it to you. Now, third important point, viewers, is in this war, which started on the 4th of November, there were four main parties: Eritrean forces, ENDF, TDF, regional forces of Amhara. Which party suffered most militarily? And which party suffered the least militarily? In my assessment, Eritrean forces suffered the least, viewers. Because when this war started, in the beginning, they were providing artillery support. They entered Tigray. Then ENDF troops were in the forefront. Eritreans were behind. Eritreans withdrew, no one attacked them. ENDF withdrew, they were attacked. Retreating ENDF divisions have been destroyed. So, in my view, Eritrean forces suffered the least in this war. It's not that they have been considerably weakened by Tigray war. Keeping in view these 3 points, I personally believe that TDF will not attack Eritrea in coming days. Attack on Eritrea could be the part of long-term strategy of Tigray Defence Forces, but in short term, they'll have to focus on rebuilding and rehabilitation, and they'll have to secure their border with Sudan. In yesterday's video, I informed you about the strategic significance of Humera. Martin Cloud, several other sources claim that Humera has been taken by TDF. Alamata as well, but these are unconfirmed news. Reportedly, Humera has not been taken by TDF. Tigray Defence Forces are in need of their border with one state, one region, or one country which is friendly. And the only option they have is Sudan. So they will try their best to secure the border areas, Ethiopia, Sudan border areas. Tigray Defence Forces would like to take control of Humera, but we have seen statements from Ethiopian National Defence Forces, from Amhara Regional Forces. They are saying that Tsagade, Wolkayet, Humera, Alamata, Raya, these are part of Amhara state. And if someone tried to reclaim them, every Amhara would be ready to sacrifice.